our Doug Richards, who I do not believe is outside in the sunshine right now, but I believe he is at the state capitol. And Doug, you are tracking today a bill focused on power rates in Georgia.
That's right, Zach. You know, I'd almost rather talk about the weather, but given the fact that there are actually, I counted at least eight bills that are under consideration here at the Capitol relating to data centers. And the effort behind them is to make sure that consumers who pay electric bills don't get nicked too badly, if at all, for the costs of data centers. And so there are probably really three competing approaches, two of which are being taken seriously and one of which is being completely disregarded, at least at this point. The one that's disregarded is the one, of course, put out by the Democrats, who want to have a moratorium on data centers. That's not getting a lot of serious consideration at the Capitol these days, but bills that are designed to make sure that utility customers don't get sticker shock when they open bills based on rate increases that could come because of the construction of data centers and the electricity that those centers can consume in massive quantities. Those kind of that kind of demand for electricity could be pushed forward toward customers of electricity. And the other bill, all the bills try to avoid that. The two competing approaches do it incrementally. One bill is going to get a hearing this afternoon. It's a bill that some consumer advocates like a lot because they think that it will hold the line better on potential rate hikes than another bill that seems to have that's also getting traction in the House. This is a Senate hearing this afternoon on the bill that the advocates like, and then there's a House bill that has passed a few days ago that the advocates don't hate, but they aren't as warm toward that as we might expect, Zach. And I'm sure that doesn't clarify anything.
Doug, it clarified a lot. One question for you, because you know better than most.
It's very generous
there are lots of bills. There are lots of bills that get dropped in the state legislature. Some of them have more attention, more oomph behind them than others. The issue of rate increases and power prices was a major one in the Public Service Commission race back in the fall of 2025, which became sort of a flashpoint race in its own right as we were heading into this midterm year of 2026. How much focus of the legislators under the Gold Dome is on this issue of power rates and data centers?
Well, one of the things that they're mindful of is the fact that the Public Service Commission itself, which sets rates, has implemented a policy with respect to data centers that basically takes into consideration forecasts that they have created. I guess the PSC has sort of amalgamated plans that they've heard about, have devised what they think will be rate usage under those plans, and have sort of taken steps to make sure that those increases in power consumption can be adopted and handled by the electrical utilities without harming rate structures too much. And then and so there's that approach, which basically a state law could codify what the PSC has done. And then another approach would be more restrictive and would lean less on what the Public Service Commission has done and set sort of a more independent goal as to what the rate of consumption based on the consumption of data centers would be acceptable in Georgia looking into the future. They ought to ask AI what they ought to do, right?
I am sure, Doug, somebody has already. We know that this hearing kicks off at 3 o'clock. We may be checking in and listening in to some of that hearing coming up in the next 45 minutes or so. Our Doug Richards at the Capitol. We appreciate it. Thank you, sir.